Welcome everyone. This is my instructions on how to braid a Kute-Uchi braid. These are ancient Japanese braids that could be used for bracelets, clothing. As the art form has evolved, it turned into a sort of necessity. They used it to assemble samurai armor, and they would create flat ribbons like this, but there'd be several people working on them at a time, and they'd be using these to tie everything together. Now, I apologize for my hands. I'm a sculptor as well, so my hands are dry and taking a beating, so bear with me on that. All right, so what we're going to be learning today is we're going to be learning a 5-string flat braid, which looks like this. It is physically just flat like this, and it has these patterns on it. And we'll start out with a loop on the end. Now, the loop is necessary because what's going to happen is once we finish this braid, the knot will go through the loop like this, and then you can have a solid bracelet like this that you can take on and off whenever you want to wear it. Now, the second bracelet that we're going to make is a square bracelet. Now, a square bracelet is a 5-string as well. Now, you'll see similar patterns that we have here with the the angled lines and what have you, but we're going to start also with a loop, and you'll see this one is actually physically square. You touch it, you can't really see it per se, but you can definitely feel it when you hold it. So that is where we are going today, so enjoy the tutorial and I hope you learned something. So to begin this project, you're just going to need 3 basic things. First thing you're going to need is a piece of cardboard that is 46 centimeters long. And you're also going to need just yarn. So I have here basic wool yarn or cotton yarn, whatever it is that you want to choose, and I make it thick. The thicker it is, the easier it is when you're learning. When you're just starting to learn, you can start to get more intricate with a thin thread. You can loop that over and over again to make it a little bit thicker if you like, what have you. So the other thing you're going to need is this little contraption. Now, this is actually a really interesting thing. I sort of recently discovered these. Is basically all you do is I took some hemp rope here and a paper clip. And what you'll do is when it comes time to braiding, I'll actually show you how this works, but you'll loop this part right here around your foot, and this gets hooked up to the thread, and then you can start weaving with your fingers at that point. Okay, so here we are. We have our little template here. Now what I did was the 46 centimeter piece of cardboard. I just cut these little notches out of here. Now what you'll do here is you're going to take the yarn or the thread, whatever it is that you're using, and you're going to place one end of it in the cardboard like this. See how there's a little piece hanging out at the end? This is actually important. You want to have a pretty good sized piece hanging over. You don't want to be obscenely long, but probably maybe an inch or 2 or something like that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it all the way down and around the cardboard up to the other end like this. Now I already cut it off the spool, but you keep it on the spool. Now you'll do this 5 times. I've picked 2 different colors. I've picked purple and green, and just so you can see the different colors and how they work together, but you can ideally choose any color that you want to choose. Okay, now I finished putting all 5 of the threads on there, and the strings I mean, and what you see now is that they all have 2 strings on each side. Now I'm going to show you what you're going to do next, and you notice you still have a solid loop on this end, which is very important to have. You're basically going to take these 2 threads like this, and you're just going to tie them together. The 2 ends together of that single thread, and you're going to tie them together. Now, it's a little harder for me to do this when I'm trying to look at the camera at the same time, so I'm just going to stop and keep tying this knot. So you just want to have a nice little knot right on the end here like this. Just like that. Pretty simple. Anybody can do this. Now you're going to do it 4 more times and finish up all 5 of these. And then when you're done with that, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I've tied all 5 knots. Now the next step you're going to do is you're going to slide these off one at a time off of the cardboard. And then you're going to lay them out neatly next to each other. You want to keep these neat and organized, because if they get tangled up, what's going to happen is that it will make they'll get all tangled up, and the beginning of the knot will be a nice mess. And you don't want to have a mess. You want to have everything neat and clear. All right, so next thing we have all 5 out. Now, set this cardboard aside, get rid of it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stack them neatly with the loop end up. So we just want to put all 5 and make sure that the knots are lined up on the bottom next to each other. Just like this. So that we have all 5 here. Okay, now I'm just going to organize these knots so that they're all close together, like this. All right, so we have the 3 purple and the 2 green. Now what you're going to do is we have our little paper clip here that I use all the time when I'm braiding. What I've done personally is I've taken a clipboard and taped it down to my table. It's just easier for me to work that way because having it attached to your foot, it's easiest for an entire class of students to do, like what we do here. But for your own personal reasons, for your own personal use, I would recommend using a clipboard or something flat on a table where you don't have to be hunched over and bent all day doing this. All right, so now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take these 5 strings and you're gonna attach them to the hook like this. Okay, about that. All right, so you're gonna separate these threads out again. Just like this, lay them all out nice and neat, or as neat as you possibly can. So you see, this is what can happen if you are too messy with the threads, kind of like what I did. And you have to figure out a way to untangle it so they're all nice and neat and separate like this. So you see that right up here, there's a little tangle here. So we just got to sort this one out here. There we go. All right. So now we have 5 strings. And what we're going to do now is we're going to place these on our hands. So each one of these loops like this is going to go on a finger. You have 2 on one hand, like so, and 3 on another, like this. Okay, we want to make sure that the thread is pulled tight. Now, what we're going to do, and I'm going to have to readjust the camera in just a second, so it'll be a quick break, but what we're going to do is we're going to begin weaving with our fingers. Okay, so we have our strings all separated, and what we're going to do is begin by putting them on each finger, like so. Now you want to make sure the knots are at least close to the end of your finger here. This. Now we have to begin by creating a loop at the end that will help us put the thread, the other end, the knot through at the end so you can wear it like a bracelet. Now this is kind of a tricky finger movement at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really easy and it will go by quickly. So there are a couple terms that I use. I use ring finger. That's what I believe is the common term for this finger here that we have. And then I use a top. I use the words top and bottom. So I hold my strings like this. Some people hold them like this, and I personally find it more complicated this way. So I hold them like this, and I have a top string and a bottom string. Top, bottom, top, bottom. Now I take my ring finger. I'm going to go pull the top string up of the bottom one here. So top, top. So you see you have this big loop right here forming. And then what you're going to do is you take your thumb, pinch the top one, and pull it through. And you pull this tight on the sides like this. Same thing here. Take your ring finger again. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Same thing. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Top, top, pinch, pull through, and then tighten. Okay. So let's continue. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Top, top, pinch. And you start moving faster and faster as you get the hang of this. Now, if anything starts to look like the knots are sliding down, you can just simply pull the string and it will readjust. This. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Top, top, pinch, pull through. Now, you probably can't see it yet, and I'll put these down. Make sure if you ever do have to set these down, that you leave them in the position that you had your fingers on. So, you gotta make sure they're all untwisted as well. So I'll put these back on the fingers. Now that we have the loop forming on the end, the next step we're gonna do is we're gonna start doing a square knot, square the flat braid to assemble it, pull it back together again. So you're going to take your ring finger again, top, but with this one, instead of pinching on the left side, this is where it gets a little tricky, is you're doing two different movements for two different hands, for each hand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with top, and instead of pinching like this, I'm taking my ring finger, I'm gonna turn my hand, hook the top string, and pull it through. Now, what that does is the top string here is actually twisting, as opposed to when you just pull it through with your fingers like this. What this does is it keeps it flat and it does not twist, which is how you get the flat braid. Now, on the right side, we're gonna go back to the traditional braid, the traditional pull through with the pinch. Top, pinch, pull through. So back to the left hand, we're gonna go to the new movement. Top, over, pull through. Top, over, pull through. Oh, I made a mistake. Did you see that? So let's go back and fix this. So let's pull this one back. We'll just keep moving. I don't want to have to stop this video again. But I made a mistake. See, I did not pinch it and pull it through. Sometimes you can lose focus and do that. So I'm gonna go back over here like this. And then here, I'm gonna go back up, pinch, pull through. Okay? So now I'm gonna teach you the square knot braid. Okay, so I've continued with the flat braid. Now, the one thing I want you to notice is when we did that first movement where it was just a pinch on both sides, we created a little bit of a loop there. And you'll see that this is what the flat braid starts to look like as you continue with that movement. Now you have to make sure that you're doing the left hand one side, the right hand the other. I made one mistake in the beginning and it turned it in, I made one mistake with the movement. I did the same movement on both sides and it turned into a bit of a square knot in the beginning. So you'll see that these little mistakes that you make, you can always tell with this sort of work. So you really have to focus and you really have to, pay attention and not be talking with people as you work. Until this becomes like a natural movement for you, then you can talk while you work. Okay, now we're ready to continue this process. So what we are going to do now is, I've shown you the flat braid, the movement for the flat braid, which again, let's review, is taking the top, pinch, and you're pulling it through. Now what we're gonna do, instead of doing the flat braid, we are gonna turn it into a square knot. Now the square knot is actually really, really easy and it will go much quicker because you're doing the same movement for both hands. So you take your ring finger again, pull the top one, and then all you're gonna do is keep your ring finger, you do not need your thumb on this movement, and you turn your hand over like this, you're hooking this top string with your finger like this. Then you're pulling it through the two loops that you've already lifted up. Then you pull it tight. Same thing here. Top, over, go. So top, hook, pull through. Then, the one thing I didn't talk about in my previous ones is after you pull that top one, you have this finger left. What you do is you just simply shift it up like this. And then you have your ring finger ready to go again over there. So top, hook, pull through. Top, hook, pull through. Top, hook, pull through. Top, hook. Now, I'll show you how you keep moving like this and it goes much, much quicker when I don't have to explain every step. And as you get more comfortable, you'll just move faster and faster through this and you'll be able to experiment and try other movements too. But these are the basic movements for a square knot and for the 5-string flat braid. Okay, so I have now shown you the loop, flat braid, and the square knot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this off. Basically, when you finish this off, all you'll do is you'll work your way all the way down. I'm not going to for this demo. I just wanted to show you some basics on how to do this. But then what you'll do is with the extra strings like this, you'll tie it off into a knot like this. You pull these strings through. You won't have this much string left, so don't worry about that. And then you just want to tie it tight. So then what will happen is then you have this knot and it can go through and you can pull it through and it'll be a ring. Little tiny ring I made for you. Okay. So, and if the knot is too small for this, like honestly for the loop itself, it only needs probably about 5 passes on each hand, and I'd say at most 5 passes. You don't need a very big loop here. If the loop is too big, what you can always do is if you wanted, you can always do a second knot like this over the top and make it a thicker knot. Like that, and then it will definitely fit through. It might be a little tight going through, but you can take it on and off easier.